Good evening and welcome to the June 1st, 2020 Board of Selectmen meeting. On the agenda this evening, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, on the agenda we will have public service announcements, moments of silence. We have some applications for permits. We have town administrative report, action items including acceptance of donation to the Sturbridge Senior Center, consideration and possible action on a request for sewer service, 6 Picker Road, consideration and possible authorization for Department of Environmental Protection / Environmental Protection Agency for a grant application for alum treatment of South Pond, consideration and possible action on a request by the Recreation Committee for use of a portion of 70 Cedar Street, consideration and possible action on authorizing a community development block grant application for microloan program in partnership with the towns of Southbridge and Cheltenham, consideration and possible action on a contract with Johnson Controls for fire alarm system maintenance for Town Hall Center Office Building in the Joshua Hyde Public Library, consideration and possible action on the contract with Mr. Elevator for preventive maintenance for the elevators at Town Hall Center Office Building, Joshua Hyde Library, Center. Consideration and possible action on FY21 budget adjustments, consideration and possible action on revisions to certain town meeting warrant articles, consideration and possible action on the Board of Selectmen, certification of the town meeting warrants for the annual town meeting, old business, COVID-19 update, facility reopening plan, new business, correspondence, approval of minutes, citizens forum, then we will adjourn. I did forget to read mandatory introduction. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Sturbridge Board of Selectmen will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. The specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation can be found on the town's website at www.sturbridge.gov/town-administrative/pages/how-access-virtual-meeting. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen and or watch the meeting either online via the town's on-demand video broadcast on cable television on channel 191 or dial into the meeting at 774-304-1455. Enter 1428# for the meeting number and 12345 for the access code. The phone number is only active for the public during public meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post audio and/or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the proceedings on the town's website as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay. We have public service announcements. Chase, do you have any?
I have none, no.
Priscilla?
I do.
I know you're going to mention the election on Monday, but I just want to take the opportunity to thank the citizens of Sturbridge that gave me the opportunity to serve the community. It's been a chance to meet so many fine residents and help as many as I was able to help. So if you choose to know more about me, you can visit my website at www.priscillajimenez.com. And if you're happy with what I have done for you and for the community, then I ask for your support on Monday, June 8th. Thank you.
Hey, Mary?
Well, I want to say that I've enjoyed working with both Priscilla and you, Mary, over the years. We haven't always agreed, but we always have the town's best interest at heart. And I also wish luck to the other gentleman running, Ian. And it's great that we have people that want to participate. So best of luck to everybody. Again, I've really enjoyed working with everybody, both of you, I should say.
Thank you.
Mike?
Mary just said it all, so I don't have any other public service announcements. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, my public service announcement is, as Priscilla said, just a reminder about the election Monday at the Oliver White Tavern at OSB from 6:30 to 8. And I would like to echo Priscilla's words. I have really thoroughly enjoyed working for the town for these past 4 terms. And as Mary said, though, we don't always agree, but that's what boards are like. But we have always tried to come to the consensus for what's best for the town and the citizens. So thank you for electing me, and I hope you give me consideration Monday. Okay, we'll now have a moment. Oh, Mary?
Just one other thing to make sure that, the social protocols are in place and masks need to be worn to go to the election. Just for the residents watching. Wanted to remind them to wear their mask.
Okay, we will now have a moment of silence for all the people and families and first responders affected by COVID. Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda we have a request for a one-day liquor license from Ragged Hill Cider Company. The Sturbridge Farmers Market is. Hi, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is Ann. I am one of the owners of Ragged Hill Cider Company.
Hey, have you been at Farmers Market before?
I have. I was a part of the Sturbridge Farmers Market last year. It went very well. I also do the West Brookfield Farmers Market, which starts this week in addition. We've got a lot of new strict protocols in place in light of COVID. There will be no sampling. We're asking that people pre-order through our website or through an email to me, so that it's a very quick, easy transaction when they get there. We're asking that people minimize the use of cash, so that we're just using a card or a Venmo to process that transaction. We are a farm business. We grow all the apples and fruit that we use in our ciders. This is a critical part of supporting our farm. So we really appreciate your consideration and having us as a part of the Sturbridge Farmers Market.
Any questions from the board?
This is Mike, and I do have a question. In the application, you discuss the fee for, you charge $25 for each event, and many other communities charge $50 for the whole season. Could you elaborate on why this is a hardship and why we should consider?
Michael, this is Mary. I don't mean to interrupt you, but last year we voted not to do the 25 per day. We voted a lump sum for the entire thing. Jeff, do you know the sum?
$50.
Okay,
$50.
so that's been taken care of.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we
you don't have
paid
to
that
worry
back.
about it.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Any other comments?
Yeah.
Anybody want to make a motion?
So moved.
We need names, please, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, Priscilla, sorry.
Thank you.
Was that you, Chase?
Yeah, yep, second, Chief.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, Mary, how do you vote?
Abstain. Mary abstaining.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes?
Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, Priscilla, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that's 4-0-1. Okay, thank you and good luck.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. We appreciate it. Well, stay well.
You too.
Okay, next we have a request from Brimfield Winery. You're a representative?
Yes.
Yes, hello, Kate Warville here.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, yes, this is Kate Corvo. I'm the owner and manager of Brimfield Winery. I actually, to answer a few of your things, we started with the Sturbridge Farmers Market last year, and as Ann just mentioned from Ragged Hill, we're acutely aware of all of the guidelines for COVID, for our customers, for our participation, and by the way, just a shout out to Sturbridge Farmers Market because they made it very clear on their safety protocols. And so we're all, in unison there, which is awesome. And something that might even make you guys feel even better is that, like, we've had some food market and just drive-through curbside pickup. And I would say, on average, it's more than 90% are doing it online. I don't know what's going to happen in Sturbridge, but we highly promote it, encourage it, and people seem to really respond to it. So it's just a nice thing for you guys to know, not having been to any of these.
Okay, any comments or questions from the board? Okay, anyone willing to make a motion?
This is Mike, and I'll make a motion to grant the the farmers market licenses, one-day licenses for Brimfield Winery.
There a second?
Second, Chase.
Okay. Mike, how do you vote?
Yes?
Mary, how do you vote?
Abstaining.
Okay, Priscilla, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chase, how do you
Yes.
vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So that's 4-0-1. Okay. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Now, Jeff, we're going to have to make arrangements for the board to sign the licenses, right?
Yes, unless you want to vote this evening to empower the chair to vote on behalf of the board for these particular licensees, these two.
It'd be easy.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
That was
This is
Priscilla.
Mike. Second.
Priscilla, sorry.
Okay. Hey, Chase,
I
how
keep
do you
forgetting.
vote?
Yes.
Mary, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes?
Priscilla?
Yes.
Chase?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes, so that's 5-0. So Jeff, you can let me know when it's ready and I'll make arrangements to swing by, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have a consideration of a donation to the senior center. There's a $500 donation from a resident in Brookfield. Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept a donation of $500 from Bell with the appreciation of the Board of Selectmen.
This is
Is
Mike.
there a
I'll
second?
that. Mike, I'll second.
Okay, Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes?
Mary?
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote. Okay, next we have consideration of possible.
I know Jeff's been doing it, but also a thank you letter to the gentleman who has made the donation
Of course,
on behalf of the board.
of course.
That's been automatic.
I-
Good reminder. Okay, next we have consideration possible action on a request for sewer service at 6 Picker Road, New England Coal Incorporated. Jeff, you want to give a little explanation, please?
Yes, thank you. As you know, New England Cold is a new, soon-to-be resident of the Sturbridge Technology Park. And as such, they need to connect to the public sewer. And they're making application this evening to do so. They are not on the reserve list. So they need to get the board's permission. Andy is here this evening from the engineering firm designing the sewer connection to answer any questions. Andrew Baum. So Butch and Shane from Viola Water have been working with him on this and support the connection. There's plenty of capacity. This will also facilitate a future connection for Sturbridge Metallurgical, which is the next parcel further down the road.
Okay, Jeff, do they have town water down there?
Andy? Yes.
Andy?
Yes, they do have town water.
Okay, any comments or questions from the board?
I think it's great. The more we get on town services, the more the rate of all the users. So it's good to have another business that's getting on services.
I'll make a motion. This is Mike. I'll make a motion to authorize the owners of 6 Picker Road to connect the new facility to the town wastewater system.
I'll second it, Mary.
Okay, Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes?
Mary? Couldn't hear you, Mary. Mary?
Oh, Mary, yes.
Priscilla, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you, Andy.
Good luck.
All right, thank you, folks.
Okay, next we have consideration and possible authorization for the Department of Environmental Protection / Environmental Protection Agency, Section 319, grant application and approved letter of support for the alum treatment of South Pond. Jeff, you have a short explanation?
Yes, last year about this time, you were approached by representatives of the Q11 Lake Association. I can't pronounce the name, so I'm calling it Q11.
Quack.
QQLA.
Yeah, you bet. And requesting support on a grant application and some financial support. Carl Nielsen from the association is here this evening to kind of walk you through any specific questions and any technical questions regarding the grant. Basically, they want to treat the pond with alum to contain the phosphorus, which is causing overactive algae in the lake. And barring any scientific explanation for that, that's all I understand at this point. But Carl can answer any particular questions. The town meeting last year did approve the $55,000 in support, and the board also did offer to be the administrator of the grant, which means we have to be the applicant.
Yep.
Okay, any questions from the board?
I think Carl has something to say.
Okay, Kyle?
Yeah, hi, my name's Carl Nielsen. I am a consultant working for a group called the Quabog and Quakem-Placid Lake Association, or QQLA for short. And the town of Sturbridge is the applicant, so there's a couple of things that we'll need from the town. I sent a grant application to you that describes all of the details of the project, the details of the schedule and funding. One of the aspects of the grant application, it requires a letter of support from the town on town letterhead, as well as, I think, 6 forms that are standard state contracting forms, which I sent over to Jeff previously. So if we can get those signed and returned to us electronically, we'll package up the grant and submit it. It's due Thursday at noon at DEP's office. So very, very soon, but at this point it's ready to go, other than these forms that you sign and your approval, obviously.
I just have one question. We're counting
Sure.
supportive of keeping our lakes clean, but what is the total cost of the project, out of curiosity?
Could you repeat that for me, Mary?
What is the total cost of the project? So we're committing $55,000.
Yeah, the total project cost is $325,000.
Wow. And where
So the rest of that is, sorry.
Yeah, I was just about to ask where the remaining funds coming from.
Yeah, there's a match coming from the Quabog Quakem-Placid Lake Association of $40,000 in cash and $15,000 in in-kind services that they'll provide. There's also matching funds coming from the town of East Brookfield, and the town of Brookfield has had some financial issues. They can't approve their funding match right at the very moment, but they hope to be able to provide support by the time the grant comes in at some point, but that's not included in that total. So there's quite a bit of cash coming from QQLA itself.
Great, thank you.
Oh, sorry, there's one more I forgot. The Camp Francaday YMCA is also committing $5,000 in cash.
Okay, so how Sturbridge?
This is Mike.
Sorry.
What is the length
Yep.
of the project? How many years does it cover?
It it should be done by well, the grant application itself is good for 2 years. We anticipate completing the final design and permitting of the project this coming spring. The funding really doesn't become available until January 1st, thereabout. So we'll do the permitting in the spring. The treatment would happen September or October of that year, and it should last for about 15 years of benefit. So it's not a one and done type of thing. It really locks that phosphorus into the sediment. And then there'll be follow-up monitoring by QQLA to ensure that the lake is healthy and that the results that we hope to have achieved is achieved and can be documented for DEP. So it should be done in 2021. A quick answer.
Cal, this is Mary Blanchard. I know Brookfield hasn't appropriated the money. You said, has East Brookfield already voted and appropriated the money?
They have a letter of support. Yeah, they got approval for $15,000.
Okay.
And Brookfield is giving us a letter of support to the grant to indicate their enthusiasm for the work, but explaining that they've had some accounting irregularities in town that they're addressing at the moment.
Okay, anything else from the board?
Well, I'm in favor of doing this now, but long term, this is a very expensive way for controlling weed growth in these two ponds. The TDML is downstream in the Quabog and Chicopee River, and going all the way down to Long Island is, nitrogen is the more sensitive nutrient than phosphorus. Is there any other way of controlling phosphates in the that would be less expensive in the long run?
Yeah,
Or
this is a
harvesting,
pretty...
or harvesting the weeds.
Yeah, well, let me clarify. Yeah, this project won't do anything to control weeds. It's not a weed control project. It's really for algal blooms and internal recycling of phosphorus from the sediment itself. The reason we're at this point with this project and trying to target phosphorus. Phosphorus is what drives the nutrients and the algal blooms in this lake as well as in North Pond or Quabog Pond. And the phosphorus is about 50% of the annual phosphorus load to South Pond is from its sediment. And that's from historic discharges from the upstream watershed, whether that be cow farms or a Spencer treatment plant or a variety of reasons, but water coming down has historically been a little too nutrient rich. That has been improved significantly over the last 10 years between improved stormwater regs in the various towns. Some of the farms have been converted and are no longer doing heavy dairy. And then the Spencer wastewater treatment plant just recently had a strengthened NIPD's permit, so their discharge has been getting better over the years and is going to be better in the future. So the timing is very good to take care of this, and like I say, it's a 15-year benefit. It could be even longer than that. We don't want to promise more than that because it's hard to extend it much longer than that. But the benefits are really good on a cost per year basis when you start to look at it that way.
Okay, anything else from the board? Is somebody willing to make a motion then?
I'll make a motion that authorize the chair to sign the letter of support and authorization submission of the grant application with the town of Sturbridge as grant administrator, if she is willing to take on that task.
Sure.
And
Is there a second?
Second, Chase.
Okay. Priscilla, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Mary?
Mary, yes.
I said yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I couldn't hear you. Sorry, Mike. Okay, Chase said yes, and I vote yes too. Okay. Thank you, Kyle.
Okay, and Mary, should I reach out to you regarding the forms as well? There's 5 or 6 forms.
Sure. Go through Jeff, okay? Because I'll have to be going
I
down
will.
to sign things. Okay?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Bye-bye.
you. Okay, next we have consideration and possible action on authorizing a community development block grant application for a microloan program in partnership with the towns of Southbridge and Charlton. Jeff?
I think if we could, for a moment, back up to item D on the agenda, please.
Oh, I skipped it. I checked it off, but I skipped it. Okay, item D is consideration and possible action on a request by the Recreation Commission for use of a portion of 70 Cedar Street for the multi-use field on 60 Cedar Street. So, Jeff?
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. Robin is also on this call and can participate in this conversation. As you know, the Recreation Commission is going through a feasibility study for the construction of a multi-use field on 60 Cedar Street. The location of the field, as you can see on your map, is compressed between the boundary line of 70 Cedar Street and the existing road. And there is significant elevation differences, and there's a proposed retaining wall directly adjacent to the road in using just 60 Cedar Street. So we're asking, because 70 Cedar Street is under the care the care of the Board of Selectmen, if we can push the proposed field no more than 50 feet up the hill and provide more separation between the road and the field to allow for sidewalks or reconstructed or a wider street, or just, distance between that retaining wall and a driving/walking surface. Based upon the preliminary data we've gotten from the senior center study that is also taking place on 70, moving this up the hill no more than 50 feet will not have an impact whatsoever on any proposed plans or any possible plans for a senior center on 70 Cedar Street. And Robin's here to answer any specific detailed questions.
Any questions from the board?
This is Mike. I'm going to repeat a question on that site that's come up several times over the years. There appears to be on the site, and I don't know if they've done any test pits, but there appears to be a sizable amount of gravel material on the site. And I'm just asking the question: is it necessary to build this to keep the site up that high, or could some of that gravel be removed and the grade the field at a lower elevation? The gravel has some value. I recall that being discussed years ago. So I just have the question of, do we need all these retaining walls and that, keep the site up at the elevation that the plans show, or can some of that gravel be removed and sold or whatever, or used by the town in the future?
Robin?
Hey, Robin?
Yes. Hi, everyone. This is Robin speaking. So we are in the very early stages of calculating the amount of potential fill removal and the like that would have to be done on this field. If we wanted to cite the boundaries of the field, and this is the desired size on the site plan that was provided in the packet, we want to cite that before we started running those calculations and about the material and its possible usage. I think there's a balance to find here where you'll have a wall probably on either side, and it's trying to find the place where we can limit that amount of wall, whether it be a shorter wall between the street and the field, or a shorter wall between 60 and 70, or as it were, or the northern boundary.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have the full answer to the material yet, and the cost of that material. I think some of it's going to be about finding whether it's cost prohibitive to remove some of that, if it is not valuable, or if it is valuable material.
Hey, all set, Mike? Hey?
Yeah. Well, I agree that more area appears from the plan to be needed, but if there's a substantial amount of material that could be used, it would be a shame, not to use it, and plus save some retaining walls construction possibly.
Understood, and we'll instruct the consultant accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
No, Chase had his hand up first, Mary, okay?
so if we are to move this 50 feet into 70, that will limit some of the retaining walls, correct? It'll lower them and eliminate maybe the one by the road, possibly?
possibly, this is Robin speaking, possibly could, ideally what it would do is just create an additional space between the retaining wall and any future road that would be built there. So on your plan, there's a very faint, just black line, which was a sketch. It was showing a possible 30-foot right-of-way. So if there were ever a road with a double yellow line, that's sort of that representation of that. So we'd like to have some space between an active road and an active field, and separate the field as much as we can.
Okay.
Mary?
I was just going to add that, I support the request. I had an opportunity to speak with Gracioli a couple of hours ago. They're very pleased with the multi-use field they're going to get. So regardless of how this comes out in terms of the vote, the Recreation Committee is very pleased with their progress. But this gives a little more flexibility for the future. As Jeff mentioned, if the road down the road, not right now, but in 10 years, we wanted to expand it or to add our sidewalk space. And with the Senior Center Committee not having any problems with it in terms of their feasibility, putting a new senior center on 70, I really don't see a downside to us approving the additional 50 feet to add more possibilities for the future.
Anything else from the board? Someone want to make a motion then to authorize the use of a portion of 70 Cedar Street to the multi-purpose field?
I'll make a motion to authorize the use of a portion of 70 Cedar Street for a multi-use field.
Second, Priscilla?
Okay, Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Philip?
Yes.
Mary?
Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Robin. Okay, next is E. Consideration and possible action on authorizing a community development block grant application for a microloan program in partnership with the towns of Southbridge and Charlton. Jeff?
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. I sent out some information on this issue to you last week. We have been working with the towns of Southbridge and Charlton to develop a microloan program for micro enterprises. These are COVID CDBG funds, federal dollars that are flowing from some of these big stimulus packages the feds have been approving. This would allow for micro enterprises, basically businesses of 5 employees or fewer, where one of the 5 is the owner, to apply for funds between $2,500 and $10,000 to help pay utility costs, rent, and some other things, but not capital equipment or expansion capability. These funds have to be used for a business owner that is that earns 80% or less than the area median income, or services a neighborhood or community where more than 51% meet the low to moderate income guidelines. Now, Sturbridge as a whole really doesn't have that concentration of population, but we may have some business owners, some micro enterprise owners that do fit that definition. So teaming up with Southbridge and Charlton allows us to be an applicant, and those businesses, maybe a handful of businesses in Sturbridge, can still apply and receive those grant funds through this program, which we couldn't get alone. We couldn't apply for this ourselves. So we would ask for your support on this. The town of Southbridge will administer the project, and our businesses will be notified how to apply. We've already sent out some notices to the businesses in town that we are looking at doing this, and we're trying to get some feedback to support the application. I know we've heard back from one business already that expressed an interest, so the interest is out there. It's unfortunate that it is so limited, but these are the tools that we've been given, and we want to take advantage of whatever we can.
Any comment, questions from the board?
I just think it's great. Anytime we can, team up with our surrounding communities to do something positive, I think it really looks for our region.
Mary?
I agree with Chase, evident. Would our economic coordinator also assist in the, let's say the grant is given and we have a qualifying business to receive one of the grants. If there's any difficulty in filling out the appropriate, documents, I would think that would be something our economic coordinator would assist with.
He can.
Would that be?
He can. They also have people on staff at Southbridge that do this routinely, so there'll be plenty of support. And Todd, who just started today, Todd Miller, our new economic development coordinator, will be brought up to speed on this and will be partners in this project along with my office and the town of Southbridge and Charlton.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes, this is Mike. I just want to say that I think micro lending is going to be a big reason why some very small businesses can recover from this COVID-19. So this is an excellent program. I think I'm in favor of authorizing the participation.
Thank you.
Anything else? Jeff?
The public hearing is Wednesday evening, and it is a Zoom or it's a go-to meeting public hearing, and the instructions are in your packet on how to access that public hearing. And we'll make sure they are currently posted on our website.
Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to authorize participation in the Regional Community Development Block Grant COVID-19 Funds Grant Application, the creation of a Regional Microenterprise Grant Program, and authorize the chair to sign the letter of support for the town of Sturbridge. Chase.
This is Mike, and I'm seconding that motion.
Mary, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I vote yes.
Mary, you're going to be very busy.
I know. I hope Jeff has a new pen.
Several, don't worry.
Oh, right.
You want to run out of
Okay. Next, F, consideration and possible action on a contract with Johnson Controls for the fire alarm system maintenance, Town Hall, Central Office Building, and the Joshua Hyde Public Library. Hey, Jeff?
Thank you, Madam Chair and board members. I'd ask Robin to kind of walk you through this one, please.
Sure. Good evening. This is Robin again. We have an existing contract with Johnson Controls for these same three buildings for fire alarm monitoring and for fire sprinkler preventative maintenance on Town Hall and Center Office where we have sprinklers. So this is a renewal contract in that effect. However, what we are doing is we are signing with a new town template contract that has been given us that you all seen before from KP Law. And so this looks like a new contract, and Johnson Controls is agreeing to our terms as opposed to signing a vendor contract. I've heard from Johnson Controls. They have no issues with the contract as written from their part and without using their vendor language. And again, so this is a renewal for 3 years. It's an annual cost, and it aligns with the fiscal year for these three buildings.
Any questions for Robin?
Robin, this is Mike. It's my understanding this is you're going on the state bid, but we're using the town template now for the agreement. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? If someone want to make a motion then?
This is Mike, and I'll make a motion to approve the contract, with Johnson Controls and authorize the town administrator to sign the contract.
Is there a second?
Second, this is Priscilla.
Okay, Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Priscilla, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mary, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have consideration and possible action on a contract with Worcester Elevator for preventive maintenance elevators at Town Hall, Center Office Building, Joshua High Public Library, and the Senior Center. Okay, Robin or Jeff?
I'll take this one again.
Thank you.
Robin. Welcome. This is another renewal contract we currently have had with your elevators, servicing the elevators in these buildings for several years now. I've been very happy with their services this year, so I'd like to renew their agreement for the Town Hall, Center Office, Library, and Senior Center.
Okay, comments, questions from the board?
Now, this one was, this is Mike again. This one was competitively bid at some time under 30B. Is this correct, Robin?
To the best of my knowledge, it was. I'm not ready to rebid this particular service at this time. However, I do believe that in a couple of years coming that we will go out and competitively rebid, which is why this one is only a 1-year contract as well.
Okay. When was the last time it was bid?
That I do not have available here. It's been several years.
Was it within the last 3 years?
I would suspect not.
Or within the last 2 years, let me say.
No, I would suspect not on that point as well.
We can't
I
hear
can't
you.
vote in favor if it hasn't been bid within the last 2 years. This is Mike. I can't vote in favor of it if it hasn't been competitively bid within the last 2 years. But if any contract, including extensions, over 3 years requires town meeting approval. That's my point. So it would have to be rebid, or it could go to town meeting, I guess, to continue to contract for more than 3 years. But it's my understanding that a contract longer than 3 years total needs town meeting approval.
Jeff, are you aware of that?
Mike is probably more familiar with the purchasing guidelines than I am. I'm new to the state. So we can back up and do some competitive bidding and see what it gets us. That's fine.
All right.
Robin's going through.
Wait a second.
Robin's going through a process of just trying to get things under contract so we know when things expire and when things are due, and to get the appropriate permitting and inspections done for our facilities. So we'll see what we can do.
Can I take this back? The total amount of the cost of the service is only $21.62.
Right.
So all you would have to do is contact, either you wouldn't even need written quotes. You just have to get 3 verbal, or attempt to get 3 verbal quotes,
Right.
I believe. And if it's, if they're the best for the town, then if you can, and some of the operators, the maintenance people might not even quote, but as long as you attempt to get 3 written quotes, we would be good.
I understand. I don't even know how many elevator.
It doesn't have to go out to a formal bid process. If it's under $10,000.
Right.
Mary, it might be useful for us, because I am not familiar either. And Mike, are you saying that any contract that's in excess, if it hasn't gone out for a bid 3 years, has to go to town meeting? Is that what you're saying? I'm just trying to understand, because I know, like with Viola, it's typically a 5-year.
That happens to be an exception. The wastewater and solid waste agreements have an exception to 30B. However, there is a bill in the state legislature to eliminate that extension, that exception right now. But like the Viola contract, there's a specific exception in 30B for that type of contract.
Okay, that's the one I was.
Environmental type contracts.
Maybe just super busy. Just let us know what the state law is on that type of thing, so I have a better working. I didn't know that the water contract falls into an exception. I just knew we signed it for 5 years.
Philip?
I was just going to ask, Jeff, can you just check on that and let us know that without having to go through all that work? Maybe you don't have to. Just check and see.
What am I checking on? Because we've talked about a couple different things.
I was just just to check to see if we could just okay the elevator for 1 year while Robin works on it next year and gets the quote rather than holding up the elevator inspections.
We would have to know when the last time we actually sought some competitive quote. I do I do know that under $10,000, we don't need a written bidding process, just seeking quotes, but I don't know when's the last time we did that for the elevator. I do know we've used Worcester Elevator since I've been here the last year. I don't know who else is in the marketplace, but we can find out.
Okay, why don't we,
Robin?
we can put this on hold until our next meeting. Everyone in agreement with that?
Yeah, why don't we?
Do you agree we can hold it till the next meeting? Okay,
Yeah, I agree.
okay, Mike, you agree?
I would agree, but I would like to hear what the town administrator has to say.
I was just going to say a motion to
Not
table.
holding?
I was just going to say a motion to table would be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just,
I'll make a motion to table to our next meeting. This Mike. Okay, so if we want a formal motion to table until our next meeting, I'll make that motion.
okay, Mary B., I'll second it. Faith, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Philip?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes. Okay, so. Okay, next we have consideration and possible action on fiscal year 21 budget adjustments. Jeff?
Okay, and thank you, Robin. Prior to COVID-19, we put together a budget, we being the town staff, Barbara and her finance department, and the department heads, and myself, and Andrea put together a budget and a budget book, and we gave it to you, and the day after we gave it to you, it was worthless. So we've spent the last few weeks trying to outguess what's going to happen in the world with our finances, and unfortunately answers haven't come fast enough, but we've given our best analysis, and I thank Barbara and her crew for analyzing numerous numbers for me in order to put together a package to present to you all. So basically what we've done is gone through the general fund and some of the other articles that raise and appropriate funds and impact the tax rate to offset some of the revenue losses. And you can see from the spreadsheets we've given you the anticipated revenue losses from COVID-19, primarily the meals tax and the hotel tax. Given that the feds have dropped the interest rate on investments, our interest earnings will be down, and we don't have a good understanding of what's going to happen with unrestricted aid. So we've taken a haircut on that as well, and some other smaller revenue items. Now, it's our understanding from the revenue side that the Board of Education, or the school committee, I should call it the school committee, will adjust their budgets accordingly based upon whatever impact there is to school revenue or the Chapter 70 funds. So we're not addressing those here this evening. But we did address substantial loss in revenue, keeping in mind that the board's desire for next year is not to increase the tax rate. And as you can see from the page in your packet, that we have the tax rate calculation based upon these numbers and the assumptions we've used. And I want to emphasize that word assumptions. We don't raise the tax rate from its current 1902 rate. Now, if there's a desire to lower it even further or lower it below the current year rate, we can look at that formula live, and you can see how adding different either more stabilization funds or more free cash can reduce that rate further. And I can bring that up on my screen. But we've also identified selective cuts to the general fund, cuts to capital stabilization, cuts to some other things that add up to some significant dollars to offset the impact to the tax rate as well. So as I discussed at the last meeting, we've put a package together for you to consider that not only offsets some of the losses due to the COVID-19 revenue impacts, but also not increasing the tax rate and using a variety of sources rather than just free cash. So having given that introduction, Barbara and I are here to walk you through whatever you want to walk through as you consider these adjustments.
Mary, can I just have a comment?
I don't think she can hear you.
Oh, Mary?
I think her video audio left. She grabbed Charlie's up.
Yeah, she's got to dial back in.
Yeah.
1 minute. She's got to dial back in. And she missed my fabulous introduction. Oh, man.
Oh, well, why doing it? She doesn't really, I don't think, need to hear this, but I just want to thank Barbara for, making these revisions to the budget. And I note that the cost of living increase to our staff, non-staff, is being reduced from 2.5 cost of living adjustment to 1.25. So basically, they're cutting their raise in half for cost of living. And I just want to give a shout out to them for their part in addressing our concerns for the residents during this difficult economic downturn, because that's their part. It's not a lot of savings to us because we don't have a large staff in Sturbridge, but it is a lot for them because it's cutting in half their rate. I just wanted to acknowledge their sacrifice. And then I just had a question. I know you're going to walk us through it. The road improvements we did to our Chapter 90 funds, I know we were pretty well set on what we had in Chapter 90. What does this reduce our funds to with the $400,000 coming out?
Okay, it reduces it to approximately 3.6 million.
I lost you, Jeff.
Okay,
I can't hear you, Jeff.
all right. Can you hear me now?
Ian.
Okay, so it reduces the availability of the Chapter 90 funds to roughly 3.6 million. Then there's another portion of the budget where we use another 300,000 of Chapter 90 funds to begin the process of preliminary engineering on the first phase of the Route 20 corridor project. So overall, we're using about $700,000 of our $4 million of Chapter 90 funds that are available.
Okay, thank you. I mean, that's exactly what that funding's for. So I'm excited to see us use some of it for Route 20. I knew we had a significant amount in our Chapter 90, and I just wondered what it was. So thank you.
Hey, I want to apologize. There was a phone call that messed up my connection. It's technology. I can't wait till we meet in a real room. Okay, Jeff?
And I want to thank Mary for her comments, Mary Dowling for her comments. Just so you know, the union contract wage increases stay as they are in their contracts. And the police contract is up for renewal, so there's no particular COLA for the police officers at this time allocated to their department.
Okay, anyone else? So Jeff, what would you like to do?
Do you want to look at the formula and see how it works before you go through a process? I don't understand how you want to make the adjustments or how you want to vote on them or consider them, but we can show you the formula on the tax rate calculation.
Would the board like to see that?
Sure.
Yes.
A lot of head shaking, yes.
Okay. Bear with me as I bring it up. All right, hold on. Where'd it go? There it is. So let me increase the size of this a little bit.
It's also on our page 142.
Right, so this one's live. So you can see 1902, and to get where you want to be, which is don't raise the tax rate and account for the revenue losses we're anticipating, not only did we use $550,000 of free cash, we've also contributed $620,000 from the stabilization fund. Okay? And that got you to 1902. Now, please keep in mind that the valuation numbers we used, real property, personal property, and specifically the utilities, and I'd ask Barbara to chime in on this because she's been working with Ann in our assessor's office on this. These are estimates, and particularly the utility estimates. So, and I don't know if Barbara has a comment on that.
So I would just say that, based the decisions that you make tonight, as Jeff indicated earlier, there's a lot of assumptions because we just don't have all the information at this point in time. But Ann did her best to try to come up with a projected assessed valuation. Utility values, though, are not available until mid-June. And so that number is subject to change based on when we get those utility values. And I'm sure Jeff is going to talk about this, but one of the recommendations that I have is, if you notice the article for the stabilization fund, we haven't plugged in a dollar amount at this point in time. And my recommendation is to hold off doing that until we get some more firm numbers as we get closer to town meeting at the end of June. So I guess any decisions that you make tonight, just know that some of the numbers are subject to change.
Barbara, Mary, I assume, Barbara, you're always quite conservative. So under state aid at roughly 4.8 million, I assume that's a conservative figure. You're not aiming for a lot of state aid. I assume that you went low on that.
So we actually, again, this is a number that I'm just not clear what will happen. I've been trying to get information offline and have been unavailable to do so at this point in time. But the Chapter 70 number, I think, as Jeff indicated, we have level funded that number. Conversations with Deb Boyd, she feels that she doesn't think that the Chapter 70 number will go down. However, information that, and discussions that I've had with other finance directors in other communities, the number being batted around is the potential of a 10 or 15% cut. So at this point in time, we've leveled that number. I'm hoping that by the time we get to town meeting, that will be a number that we actually hopefully have some indication from the state as to what they plan to do with our state aid numbers. Chapter 70 being a very large number, and the unrestricted aid.
Okay, but that's showing no cut at all level right now.
No cut to Chapter 70, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
This is Mike. I have a question about the projected assessed valuations. Most of our assessed valuation is residential and some commercial. Utilities can't be a huge percentage of the total assessed valuation. And all of the properties, commercial and residential, would be based on the assessed valuation as of January 1st, 2020. So that number should be fairly firm then. What percentage of our total assessed valuation is utilities? It can't be more than 5 or 10% at most.
Yeah. Hi,
Again, the utility values we do not have yet.
Hold on.
But that would be a minor total.
Yes, I'm on the call.
Hold on. Ann's on the phone. Let me turn up the volume for Ann.
Okay.
Hold on, Ann. Let me turn up the volume.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ann.
Okay. Yeah, Mike, the utilities is actually part of the personal property values, not the real estate values. I was advised by our consultants who have been in touch with the state. Those values are not coming out until June 15th. We have no idea which direction they're going in. He recommended I lower them by 5%. Figured that was a very safe guesstimate. So that's what I did. From last year's values, I just lowered all my utilities by 5%. We have 2 pipelines. Tennessee Pipeline, I think, is over $4 million. The Buckeye Pipeline, I believe, is somewhere in the $1 million range. And then we have all of our phones. There's 3 or 4 phone companies in there. So that's the best we could do right now.
But as a percentage of $1.376 billion, that's not very much. So that total assessed valuations, probably within, probably within $4 or $5 million. So we're not.
I would say.
So the estimated levy limit's going to, you got that within, probably within 1 or 2%.
Right. We tried to get as close to that as we could. But again, like Jeff had said earlier, these are really, they're not set in stone yet. The only ones, and I'd like to also remind you that we are a 653 community, so those real estate values are as of January 1 of 2020, except for any new growth. We can pick up new growth through June 30th. So some people's values, if they had any changes this year, those values will change for the higher.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, Mike?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm taking a look at this, and it's an estimate. That's what it is.
Yes.
Exactly, and that's really the message we want to get across. None of these values are certified. Ann and Barbara have done a great job trying to estimate these, but they are estimates.
Yeah, this is very good. It's good information.
Okay.
The only thing, I'm just looking at the proposed cuts, and just because this was one of the things I really wanted, I understand if it has to be put off. But I was disappointed under betterment that the highway corridor beautification, it looks like the 15,000 that it was a limit entirely. We couldn't have had a portion of it still. Was that the cost of the landscape architect?
It was. Now, these are proposed. If you want to add something back, that's up to you. We looked at the betterment fund because we spend the money we've collected in the prior year in the following year, and given the hotel tax revenues are down, we tried to cut the betterment for next year to save resources for 2022. And that's what we're doing there. So if you want that back in, that's up to you, but it just reduces what's available in 2022.
Okay, I'll give it a little thought. Chase, that was one of the things that we wanted. It seems like a number of years now we've tried to beautify the court, and we haven't had any luck. So
I know.
This was the 1 year that we were make it happen.
Terry, I don't disagree that you've been working on, this is Mary Blanchett, on the betterment funds for that, but I would not personally be in favor of adding it in. I mean, we're trying to make cuts so we can retain the tax rate we have, and it may not sound like much, but if you want that in, somebody else is going to want something back in, and we'll be climbing the tax rate eventually. Okay, Jeff, you want to continue? Or?
Well, I don't know how you want to proceed, if you want to look at the particular cuts, if you want to vote on those. And Mary, I agree. I'm the one that proposed putting the 15,000 in based upon some conversations we've had. And it is disappointing.
Right.
But we are taking steps to start the process on the corridor, so I don't look at it as a total loss. Maybe next year we can put that back in and do some good work out there. So I understand.
Thank you. Did the Betterment Committee vote on these, or is this your recommendation? Did the committee go back and vote on these?
No.
How did it work? I'm just kidding.
The signage, Jean said she could do without because she had some existing funds for the signage. The changes to the police overtime and the rec money was because events have been canceled, so there was really no impact to that. And then the 15,000 was a pot of money that we could push off into another year. So the Betterment Committee has not voted on these, but there's really no impact to programs other than the $15,000 for the highway corridor landscaping.
Okay, Mary?
Yes, thank you. No,
Okay,
you did a very good job. You were still dialing in. That they did a very good job on the cuts that they made.
okay. The board want to vote on these recommendations now? Jeff, what's your suggestion?
I guess you vote on the general fund, you go through it line by line and see if there's yays or nays on each one. I don't know if you want to adopt the changes to the general fund in mass, and then the rest of the changes are adopted, and Barbara can help me out here. The rest of the changes are adopted through the changes to the warrants, which are later in the meeting.
Correct.
Okay. So if you vote on the general fund changes and then go to the warrants, then you can adopt the rest of the changes.
That okay with the board?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so with that then to page 125. Okay, Jeff, you want to lead us through where the changes are on the table here?
Yes, if you go to page 121, and if you go to page 121, these are in the order of the budget itself that you normally see. So we've lined up the sequence of the changes based upon the order that's in the budget pages. So if you go to, for instance, Finance Committee, that's the third one down. There's no change in Board of Selectmen, which is the first one on 125, but then Town Administrator, Finance Committee. And then this order of changes just goes through in order that's on the budget. So if you take them off of page 121, you're making the adjustments sequentially in the budget.
Okay. Everybody has 121?
Yes.
Okay, the town administrators such small print.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Salary is reduced $3,149. Salary wages reduced $475. Travel reduced $2,000. Project funds reduced $3,000 for a total of $12,374. You can say hold if there's anyone you want to hold on. Town accountant reduced the department head salary $1,009. Salary and wages $197 for a total of $1,206. Board of Assessors department head salary reduced $1,052. Salary and wages $382. Certification reduced $650. Travel reduced to $150 for a total of $2,234. Finance director department head salary reduced $1,385. Salary wages reduced $2,775. Purchase of services reduced $190. Travel reduced to $200 for a total of reduction $4,550. Information technology department head salary reduced by $819 for a total of $819 reduction. Town clerk department head salary reduced by $981. Salary wages reduced by $457 for a total reduction of $1,438. Conservation Commission department head salaries are reduced by $794. Salary and wages reduced by $281 for a total reduction $1,075. Town planner, department head salary reduced by $1,226. Salary wages reduction of $457 for a total reduction of $1,683. Facilities, department head salary reduction of $813. Salary wages reduction of by $1,284. Training reduction by $650. Travel reduction by $300 for a total reduction of $3,047. Excuse me. Joshua Hyde Library Building, elevator light replacement, reduction by $3,100. Police department, department head salary reduction of $10,000.
Mary?
Fire department,
Mary?
yes.
I just want to make a comment on the police department salary. Department head, we're not changing that. It's just that we probably won't have someone occupying that position for the first 2 months or so of the fiscal year. So we're taking those dollars we wouldn't be spending otherwise.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The fire department reduction of $1,414. The total reduction is $181,338. Total additions, $6,000. Where do we see that, Jeff?
Well, there's page 122. It continues.
You mean I'm not finished reading?
No, if you would like, I can read it for you.
Okay, my voice is getting a little raspy.
So we'll start at the bottom of 121 with the fire department. Department head salaries, $1,414. Tech training, $6,500. Ambulance sanitation, $1,260. Lexipol subscription, $5,732 for a total from the fire department of $14,906. Building inspector, department head salaries, $1,057. Salaries and wages, $514 for a total of $1,571. Tree warden, I'd like to add $6,000 to his salary. Education, Burgess Elementary School, $29,000 reduction. This basically brings them back to the current year in terms of Chapter 70 funding, and that was discussed between Barbara and Deb Boyd to do that. Department of Public Works, department head salaries, $1,029. Salaries and wages, $1,591. Total DPW, $2,620. Landfill Recycling Center, salaries and wages, $336. Board of Health, department head salaries, $923. Salaries and wages, $327. Total, $1,250. Inspections and testing, public health inspector, $585. Council on Aging, department head salary, $709. Salaries and wages, $855. Travel and mileage, $1,750. Advertising, $120, for a total Council on Aging, $3,434. Veteran services, salaries and wages, $120. Joshua Hyde Library, department head salaries, $1,063. Salaries and wages, $2,656. Mileage, $250. Library materials, $1,000, for a total of $4,969. Recreation, department head salaries, $413. Trash dumpster, $562, for a total of $975. Debt service, short-term interest cost, $5,000. Central purchasing, painting of the central office building, this is exterior paint, $5,000. Gasoline, $5,000. Unclassified, the group health insurance, $65,000 reduction. For a total reduction, $181,338. Addition, $6,000. Net general fund reduction, $175,338.
Hey, now, Jeff, what was the 6,000 added into the tree warden for?
His salary is a stipend of $2,500 a year, and I just believe he's working a lot harder than that money would support. So basically, I've added $6,000 to his salary. If you want to hold on that and wait for the classification study to be completed, which will be done in the next few months, we can do that. But just thought, since we're making the adjustment, we can do that now. If you want to hold on that, that's fine. But he's
No,
only,
I have no problem with it. I just wanted an explanation.
yeah. Yeah, I don't understand where the $2,500 stipend came from, but from what I saw from Tom Chamberlain and what I see from Tony Crane, they're working a lot harder than that $2,500 would indicate.
Well, it goes back a long way. One
Yeah.
of those just never change.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, anything else from the board?
Yeah,
I just had a question.
Mary?
On the yellow, under the Joshua High Library data light replacement, I mean, does the light work or not? If it doesn't work, then, I mean, we're still going to have to replace.
It works. It's just switching them out for LEDs or some other form, but they work. They were just going to do an upgrade on them. I do have one other comment. Mary?
Oh, go ahead, Jeff, sorry.
Okay, so when we put the original budget together, the pre-COVID budget, we included in the budget some dollars for settlement of the police contract and for implementation of the classification and compensation study. Those dollars remain in the budget. So when we do get to the point where the classification study is complete, which we hope to in the next 30 to 60 days, we're starting to get that close to where we can go back to the personnel committee with that. And if we come to an agreement with the police department for a wage increase, because basically we're just doing a 1 year with a wage increase, it's kind of the proposal on the table at this time, then those dollars are available in the budget. We've not made adjustments to those.
Okay, anything else from the board? Mike?
Yeah, this is Mike. Do these adjustments wipe out all of the COLA for all of the non-union employees, or is it part of the COLA?
1.25.
When we put the pre-COVID budget together, the non-union employees were projected to receive a 2.5% COLA plus their steps if they were still on step. We've reduced that to 1.25 plus step. So everybody gets a raise, just not as much as they had anticipated, at least the non-unions, not as much as they that originally provided for in the budget.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Priscilla?
I give you credit, Jeff and Barbara, that you worked it out with lowering the increase in order to not have to lay off people. I think that's a great approach. It's an equitable approach right across the board. And that way everybody can sustain their jobs. Because nobody knows what the next year will bring. So at least for this year, they're safe.
Yes.
That's a good job.
Well, thank you. Laying people off doesn't help the overall economy, so keeping people working was our #1 priority.
Anything else from the board? Hey, Jeff, which number would you like a vote on?
If you would if you're okay with the tree warden's adjustment, then the number would be 175,338. Barbara, that's
Somebody
correct.
want to make that? motion?
So moved to accept the figure given by the town administrator.
Second, Jay.
Priscilla.
Just,
Second,
This is
Jay.
with the reduction
Jay
in
seconded.
the general fund.
Jeff?
I just want to ask Barbara if she had any further comments before a vote or anything else?
No, I'm all set for right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I still missed who seconded it.
Jay, me.
Okay. Mary, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Priscilla, how do you vote?
Yes.
Grace, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. On that. Okay, now Jeff, on the
Capital.
warrant.
So the warrants, if you, the memo outlines the warrants that had changed. So the first one that changes is Article 16 in the warrants. And basically what that does is reduce the proposed raise and appropriate for road repairs from $434,648 to $36,648, and the difference will be made up out of the Chapter 90 funds. Now, it's my understanding the town of Sturbridge doesn't have warrant articles for Chapter 90 funds. We just use them as the board authorizes, and that's what we anticipate here.
Any questions? Someone want to make a motion to approve that?
Just a comment, if we don't, I know we're in a very difficult financial situation, but it seems like always when there has to be cuts, it always gets taken out of Public Works, and to cut Public Works by $400,000 is very unfortunate. And I think, if at some point in the future we can make it up, we need this money to keep our road conditions in good condition. So, we have to make decisions, tough decisions, and this is one. I think,
We're getting the chapter.
Yeah.
We're getting
Yeah, Mike, we're using
Yeah.
Chapter 90 funds to replace.
Instead, but I'm saying that the town should be appropriating this kind of money for road maintenance, in addition to what we're getting for Chapter 90.
Jeff?
I agree.
I'm just commenting.
I agree with Mike.
I will. Yeah.
I agree with Mike in that it would be my intent, given the opportunity, to start rebuilding that fund once the local revenues are reestablished. And I agree with Mike, local support of roads is very important. Relying on the Chapter 90 funds isn't sufficient to do projects and road support. So I appreciate his consideration of this one-year impact. We won't fall off the map with our road improvements, but it is something we're going to have to rebuild.
Right. That's my.
Hey, does somebody want to make a motion then to change the amount from the $434,648 to $36,648?
So moved, Priscilla.
Is there a second?
Chase.
Okay, Mary, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Chase?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes. Okay, the next one is Article 19, betterment.
Yes. Okay, Article 19. And as we've discussed, there's just a series of different reductions through there that, the one that hurts is the $15,000 for the landscaping. But the rest are due to other revenues being available, or we won't need that amount of money due to changes due to COVID.
Okay, questions, comments? Hey, Jeff, is that the new total at the bottom on 158?
Yes.
Someone want
I'll
to
make a motion to change Article 19, total amount from 176,364 to 138,821,000.
Okay, that was Mike. Is there a second?
Second, Chase.
Okay. Mary, how do you vote?
Sadly, but supporting a yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, the next one is Article 20, capital improvement. Jeff, you want to explain that one?
Yes, we went back to the department heads and asked what could wait, what could we reduce. For instance, the camera and surveillance system for town hall, rather than do the internal and externals in 1 year, we're going to do the externals on the cameras and then come back the following year and ask for the money to put the cameras inside town hall and COB. So we'll do a portion of that project, not the whole thing. The storage and records management at COB will have to wait a year. And then the public safety complex asked for storage containers for equipment that is sitting outside. Their original request was for 3 containers, and we've reduced that down to 1 container. So there is some additional storage, but not as much as hoped for. So those are the 3 adjustments.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I just had a question on the Veridesk stations. What, the police need 12 of them? Those are the type of desks that you lift up and you can work standing up or sitting down?
Mm-hmm. It's
12 of them, right?
They're for dispatchers too. There's numerous positions throughout the department, and it is kind of a repetitive motion issue type thing where we are now.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, does somebody want to make a motion then to approve the new number, $1,059,741?
So moved, Priscilla.
Is there a second?
Second, Chase.
Okay. Mary, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
The next one is Article 22, and this one wasn't,
Yep.
yeah. So this one, I apologize, the strike-through isn't there, but the original amount was $100,000, and reducing the OPEB contribution to $75,000 for next year.
Questions, comments? Is someone willing to make the motion for the change to $75,000?
So moved, Priscilla.
Is there a second? Hey, Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Priscilla, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes.
And I vote yes also. Next one is Article 23, tax rate relief.
Yes, this increases the free cash use, and we've changed tax rate relief to tax rate support. We can put it back to relief or support, whatever your verbiage is. But we're using $550,000 of free cash towards the tax rate for next year proposed. So if you want to leave relief, we can leave relief in that title.
Well, I probably think relief sounds better than support.
Okay, we'll change it.
The taxes know it's the relief.
Okay, we'll put relief back in it.
Comments?
That was my change.
Comments, questions? Mary?
Yeah, that's the word we always use, so we're consistent. But I just to say, I know it's become my mantra, our fiscal policy. So at 550, we're still within the recommendation of our fiscal policy, pretty prudent within that range of free cash based upon the of our budget. You know, we want it to be, I think it was like 10 to 15% or thereabouts.
Well, that was a combination of the stabilization fund and free cash, right? So when you look at,
7 to 9.
I'm sorry?
You're right. That's the combination of both, the reserve and the free cash.
Right, so we're using both in this, so I don't know, Barbara, do you know where we would be between the two, stabilization and free cash from a percent-wise, when we're done with this?
So for free cash, we would be a little under 9% because we're doing 550 and I had previously calculated 500 at 8.99%, so just slightly below that.
Which is excellent because that's at the upper range anyway, because the range was 7
Correct.
to 9, I believe. Okay. All right. Thank you. So we did have some room there. I'm very happy with the way the warrants articles have been amended personally.
Okay. I know at the last meeting I had asked for numbers on what the difference in the tax payment would be at the 350, the 450, and the 500. Because I know 500,000 sounds like a lot of money, but as far as what the actual monetary benefit is, it's not that great when you divide it by all the taxpayers.
So
You're right, Mary. The 15,000 for the landscaping is a minuscule amount, but it was something. So, you know what I mean?
So for every $100,000, it's approximately 8 cents.
So Mary, I can bring back up that spreadsheet and I can show you how that number moves with different inputs on free cash or stabilization if you'd like.
No, that's okay. I was just wondering. I mean, it can be worked out just knowing, you know, say using the median house price.
Oh.
No, I don't really need it. I
Well-
just asked for it. I can work on it.
We'll get you some numbers. I thought we were talking about the changes in the tax rate, not taxes per household. I apologize.
No. Taxes per household, what the benefit is. You know, it sounds great, but it's not that big. It's something, and I don't disagree that the taxpayers deserve tax break if we can give it to them.
Okay.
Okay, somebody want to make them?
I had a
Mike,
quick
yes.
question for BB. What does this leave us as a percentage of stabilization? with respect to our financial guidelines? What percentage and what will we have left in stabilization? And will that versus what our guidelines call for?
We'll still be within our guidelines. Our stabilization fund, we look to maintain 7 to 9%, so it's going to put us below the 7%, but the free cash and the stabilization combined still keeps us where we need to be.
Okay.
Okay, anything else from the board? Someone want to make a motion then on the new number?
I'll make a motion that we approve $550,000 for tax relief as amended tonight.
Second, Priscilla?
Okay, Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
No.
Okay, Priscilla?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Okay, that's the fourth one. Okay, the next one is Article 24, capital stabilization. Yep.
Yes, we're proposing not to make a contribution to the capital stabilization fund for next year. The current balance, if I remember that correctly, Barbara, is $800,000 roughly, current balance.
Yes.
Okay, so we're proposing not to make a contribution to that stabilization, the capital stabilization fund next year.
Okay, any comment, question? Does somebody want to make a motion then to delete Article 24?
So moved. Priscilla?
For a second?
Second, Chase?
Okay, Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes.
Mike?
Sadly, yes.
That's a couple of sad weeks tonight. Priscilla, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, Article 28.
27.
27, sorry.
Barbara, can you take this one, since you worked with Shane and Butch on this, please?
So the only difference with this article is, as I think Shane reported at the last time he was at one of your meetings, water usage is down. In March, I believe it was about 20%. In April, about 22%. So what we've done is we have lowered the first quarter billing for usage, projected usage for the first quarter of fiscal 21 by 25%. And in doing that, we now have to use $82,000 of fund balance in order to keep the water rate at the level that it currently is at.
Okay, questions, comments? Oh, sorry, Barbara.
No, it's okay. I was going to say the budget didn't change. It's just that we have to use fund balance.
Any comments or questions? Okay, somebody want to make a motion then?
So moved. On Article 27, Priscilla?
Is there a second?
Second, Chase?
Okay, Chase?
Yep.
Mary, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Priscilla, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, now, Next article is Article 28, sewer.
Yes. Barbara, can you walk them through this one, please?
So the change in this one is the chemicals amount is being lowered from 45,000 to 20,000, and the amount of the fund balance. Now, same thing, because we lowered the 25% the first quarter of projected water usage, that also affects the sewer. And so the fund balance, we were originally needing to use $147,000 in order to maintain the same sewer rate. We now need to use $264,000.
Any questions, comments from the board? Okay, somebody willing to make a motion?
So moved, Priscilla.
Second.
Is there a second?
Yeah, Chase, second.
Okay. Mary, how do you vote?
Yes.
Priscilla, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Just have a quick question for Barbara.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Barbara, on Article 30, we struck out water and put sewer reserve. Should they revote that one?
Probably just to be, if you want to just have it clear, that was just a typo. It should have been sewer instead of water.
So Article 30, please.
Third?
Yeah. I got a question for Barbara. How sustainable is it to keep using reserve fund balance to support the sewer rates? I mean, how much do we have in a reserve fund, and how long will that last?
Well, I mean, I think that, at some point we're going to have to look at the rates, and this is definitely not the year to do that.
Right.
But, hold on one second. We do have sufficient reserves to be able to do it this year. The water fund balance is about $950,000, and the sewer fund balance is a little over $2 million. That would be prior to using the amounts that you just voted or are about to vote on this one. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, you did vote both of them.
Okay.
Anything else? Mike, you threw me. I lost where we are.
We're voting on Article 30.
We had already voted. I think 30 is what we're on.
Right.
Article
Okay.
30.
Hey, does somebody want to make a motion?
So moved on Article 30, Priscilla.
Second. Chase.
Hey, Mary, how do you vote?
Yes, Mary.
Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, the next one is Article 41, page 183.
Yeah, let's, if I could explain that one a little bit. So the warrants you've already voted on had a Gold Star family abatement already in it, and you voted in favor of it. KP took a look at that because there were some issues at the board, Finance Committee on this. And actually that article contained provisions from two separate statutes. So KP separated those out. So what used to be one article is now two. So Article 141 just basically clarifies the exemption we're already giving Gold Star families or spouses to allow for land that's, or property that's held in trust or by a conservator for the deceased veteran. So it's what we already do. It just makes sure that it cleans up any language on the abatement that allows for a fiduciary to get the abatement in on behalf of the veteran's family. Okay. And then the second one, Article 42, is the Gold Star parent, which is what we discussed at the last time. So.
Okay, and that's remaining as is, correct? We
It's,
didn't alter that in any way.
we didn't alter that at all. I don't know if you have to revote the article because it's got different provisions in it, or some of its provisions have been removed and put in Article 41. So basically, we just cleaned it up a little bit.
Oh, yeah, we can vote to
Move things along, or
I missed what you said, Mary.
I said, would you entertain a motion on both of them so we can move things along?
Well,
To support.
it won't take.
Did someone just call in?
It won't take any longer to do.
Okay, that's fine. I'll make a motion then to support Article.
Article 41. Is there a second?
Second, Chase.
Okay, Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you. And then Article 42 is the exemption for the parents that we talked about in the original packet of warrants, the Gold Star parents.
So I'll make a motion that we support Article 42.
Second, Chase.
Priscilla?
No, go ahead.
It doesn't matter.
Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Priscilla, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mary, how do you vote? Didn't hear her, but she did say yes.
Very yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Now, Jeff, are these gonna, particularly Article 42, is that gonna go back to the FinCom?
Yes.
Okay, because I know they voted no action on the original,
Right.
and if they still vote that, we'll probably have to put a substitute motion in, but
I understand. Okay. So there's two more this evening. Article 44, which was there was a placeholder for this one for the Little League lighting project. The CPC has recommended this, and the Board of Finance has approved it. So if you want to vote on that. This adds money to the Little League lighting project for the fields at DPW, since the funding originally was insufficient.
hey, somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to place and support Article 44. Priscilla?
Second, Chase.
Okay, Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes.
Mike?
Mike, yes.
Chase?
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
I vote yes. 5-0.
Okay. And then the last one, Article 45, is where, as Barbara said, we would like an article for the use of stabilization, but without an amount yet to be determined as we evolve through June and hopefully getting some revenue clarification from the state. So.
Questions? Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to support, place and support Article 45.
Is there a second?
Priscilla?
Second, Chase.
Okay, Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Priscilla, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you very much.
And, okay, next,
Hey,
Mary?
Yeah, no, thank you. This was, I know, a difficult task because you did it within the 2-week span. We don't get a lot of communication with the Sturbridge Villager or the Telegram. I feel like coverage of what the Board of Selectmen do is more limited than it used to be. We used to have, articles that we're up to. So I'm hoping that in these efforts, maybe we reach out to the village. They have a lot of articles on COVID-19 and what organizations. But I think what we did tonight, which was make a concerted effort to keep budget level, to keep the tax rate from going up next year, is something that residents would want to hear. And I'm not sure that the word really gets out. I don't have a lot of coverage in E&G or the Villager. So maybe, Jeff, I don't know, you can try to get the word out. And if residents support this, then maybe they might be more inclined to attend. But I do get an awful lot from people that are so concerned with their tax rate and what's going on in the economy. And we just made a big effort to address that. I should say our staff did with our support. And I'm hoping that maybe we get a little bit more coverage in the newspaper for it.
I'll make sure we get something out. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Thank you.
The trouble with the newspapers, they don't print like they used to.
No, I mean, years ago, all we did is breathe and it was in the paper. Now nothing seems to be.
We used to have a reporter come all the time, but it's the way it is now. Okay, so next on the agenda, we need to vote to sign the warrant certification form. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved. Priscilla?
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Mike, second.
Cheers. Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Madam Chair, just to comment on that.
Yes.
The town clerk will be visiting with you all about getting your signatures. So she'll come to you.
Okay. Sounds good, because we need at least 3 signatures before it gets posted, and one has to be posted before, 2 weeks before the town meeting?
Yeah, we'll be visiting with the FinCom committee this Thursday with the expectation they finish up the warrants, so we should be done by Friday with the warrants.
Okay. Sounds good. Jeff, again, my apologies. I skipped your town administrator's report.
That's fine. I can lump it into the COVID-19 conversation, since most of what I do on a day-to-day basis is deal with COVID-19. Not as much as the health agent, though. God bless him. So are you ready for the
Okay,
COVID?
so we are up to COVID, yep.
Okay. So not getting into the facility reopening plan yet, and we can back up a little bit. I did email out my report for the week. We have no active cases amongst employees. Most of the employees are still combination of telework and working on site, with the expectation that it is, if you adopt the reopening plan, this week we're going to start bringing people back in who can come back to work. There are a handful that, due to childcare issues or COVID-related concerns, choose to continue to telework, and we've made agreements with those employees to do so. That's perfectly fine. We've proven, and they have proven, that telework, they can still get their jobs done, and for the time being, continue to telework if you need to due to childcare or other concerns is still appropriate. My report is as it is. The departments I would want to thank, they've done a great job over the past 8 or 9 weeks or so of the shutdown, continuing to move things forward. In the online meetings have kind of evolved and have become very productive. That's kind of all I have on COVID-19, other than the governor keeps putting out guidance, and now getting into the reopening plan, we're talking about phase 2. Phase 2 allows for the opening of offices under certain conditions and as conditions are met. And the documents I've put in the packet for you, I believe reaches those criteria. So why don't we jump in and talk about the reopening plan, which includes a mixture of PPE, telework, limited access, or actually allowing the public back into the building to conduct business on a limited basis, and allowing some employees to continue to telework, and the continued use of online meetings. We anticipate when the employees come back, we'll give them training on the proper use of PPE. We're going to have what we're calling, for lack of a better word, as gatekeepers on the doors. The guidance requires us to actually record who comes in and out of the buildings, and we'll have staff for that. And thank you, last time you allowed us to pay the CERT team members and the lifeguards to perform that function. We're going to give them training this week before we open the building. So hearing that kind of overview, I'd be happy to answer any questions or discuss the reopening plan. We don't have a date yet when the building would be open normal hours. We'd like to start with a limited schedule at first and then evolve into a full-blown 37.5-hour week for both the COB and Town Hall. And then you've seen the projected schedule for the Council on Aging building.
Okay, any questions, Mike?
I have 2 quick questions on the reopening plan. One of them is to do with mail and set aside. Is that a CDC recommendation or something, setting it aside for 3 days?
It's been in the guidance we've gotten.
I hadn't seen that before.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that, the setting aside mail for 3 days as a guidance before. Is that something new, or?
No, it was in some of the guidance we got. I can forward that. I can review that guidance and get it back to you. Hold on one second. Is there someone on the telephone?
For a certain amount of time, and, well, I'll let them get the guidance.
I can provide that to you. But that's been in the items we've read, and the health officer has reviewed these documents and has approved them. So I think we're on a good path there. If you do need to open the mail right away, we're recommending using gloves. But if you don't have to open it right away, set it aside for a few days is a practice.
Yeah. And my second question was on the use of town vehicles. It has sanitizing wipes and things like that. The original guidance, I believe, required complete sanitizing of all vehicles daily, and I've seen some guidance where, unless it's absolutely necessary, there's only one person per vehicle. I understand that at certain times, for example, where, you need two people to go move a vehicle or pick up a vehicle or that sort of thing. It's necessary to have two people in the vehicle. Then they have to wear masks because they'd be within 6 feet. So the use of town vehicles guidance doesn't look as complete as what I've seen from other towns. So you might want to ask the health agent, whether it should be a little bit more explicit.
Okay.
Hey, Mary?
I just had, just a few very kind of minor changes, but mostly clarification. I thought it was a very good point. But in paragraph 1, it says, if you work in an office with more than one person, your supervisor will work with one on a schedule to adhere to this guideline. I think it should end there, as opposed to the greatest extent practicable. I mean, that makes it very loose. At a minimum, it should say to the greatest extent possible. Something's not practical, so it wasn't practicable. The guidelines are firm. They give an option. So I think they need to work on a schedule to adhere to the guidelines, period. That would be my input. The other place is on number 2, it says if you work in office that is 6 feet away from another person, the wearing of a mask constantly is not necessary. I get that. But it goes on to say, but if you meet with other people or move around the building, please wear your mask. It also has to address, it's kind of implicit, but it needs to come right out and say, or if you are in an office where 6 feet is not possible, then you do need a mask. Okay? I mean, you don't need a mask if you're 6 feet away, but if you're in an office where you're not 6 feet away, you do need to wear a mask. And a similar comment on paragraph 7, where it says social distancing. Employees should maintain feet and practice social distancing as work duties permit in the workplace. Another sentence, if the work duties do not permit 6 feet, then they do need to wear a mask. I mean, I get that sometimes you can't be 6 feet away, but we need to be clear that if you're not going to be 6 feet away and you're working on a task right next to each other, doing the mail or whatever you're doing, then you do have a mask if you're up 6 feet. And then just the last thing on 196 at the top, still think it's a sentence. We put 2 sentences together and it just needs to be verified. It's on employees exhibiting symptoms should be sent home and seek medical attention. It's the next sentence. Return to work will be possible to return to work once the conditions under either this, you need to say are satisfied or whatever. It's not a sentence.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Return to work will be possible, scratch to return to work, once the conditions under either symptom-based strategy, test-based strategy are satisfied per the non-healthcare. Because it just says under each, and it kind of hangs us there.
Yep.
And that would be it for me.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, anyone else?
I just.
One question.
Mary? Oh,
All right,
you both had your hand up. Mary's got one more thing.
I know a lot of businesses are having their employees take their temperature. I know, as Priscilla put out earlier, it's not 100% anymore because not everybody has a fever. And I just wondered if deliberated on that. I think that we're leaving it up to the employee, good faith, to just tell their supervisor, I don't have a fever. I don't know. I know at my business, I know at my husband's work, they take their temperatures coming in rather than rely on the employee. So I'm just wondering what the thought process is on leaving it totally up to the employee to say, I don't have a fever.
There's no guidance or recommendation to take people's temperatures as they come in and out of office buildings. The forms you're reading are certifications. Each employee will sign these, that they will adhere to these behaviors. So there's really there's no recommended practice to take people's temperatures as they come in and out of the buildings.
I do know a lot of companies in the private sector are instituting that, though.
I understand.
Anyone else?
I will say, I have a comment on the practicable. We do have at least one office that needs both its people in here for the next couple of weeks because they're busy. And they will do their best to adhere to the social distancing and the masks and all those good things, but they need both people for the next couple of weeks because they just have a lot to do. And there'll be times when one of them's not in there because they are preparing other things, but I need the leeway for the next few weeks impracticable.
Well, okay, so my comment there would be, then they have to, they're required to wear masks if they're not going to be 6 feet away from each other.
Of course.
They have to wear a mask, and that is, okay, but that's not crystal, there's no sentence there that makes that clear. We only talk about not needing a mask if you're beyond 6 feet. There's no mandate in this guideline to wear a mask if you are within 6 feet. The only time we talk about it is when you're walking around the building meeting people.
I can enhance item
with other
2.
people. Right. Item 2 and also item 7.
Okay.
Paragraph 7 as well.
Yep.
Paragraph 7 has mask.
Okay.
Hey, Jeff, would you like a vote on this with the amendments made, or do you
Yes.
want to wait and make the amendments?
No, because I would anticipate, I have employees returning to work now, and they'll be back before your next meeting. So people want to actually come back to work. Those that can will. But the public is really starting to ramp up their activities as well. So although we can still mix and match some telework, people are coming back to the buildings. So it'd be appropriate to have the guidance in place. We can get people trained. The glass shields should be in by the end of this week, if not the first of next week. And then we can start accessing the public again.
Okay, is someone willing then to make a motion to approve the reopening plan as amended?
So moved, Priscilla.
Or a second?
Second, Michael.
Okay, Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes, as amended.
And I vote yes.
I have a couple other things COVID related, please.
Certainly.
Okay, so at your last meeting, you approved the use or the payment of gatekeepers. I'd also like that extended to the use of those same people in paying them and the wage for the election. The wage would be minimum wage, to use those same group of people to help out at the election and to help out at town meeting. So if we could extend that authorization to the election and town meeting, that would be helpful.
Okay, somebody want to make that motion?
I have a question.
Yes.
Has any plan been made on the seating in the auditorium and the seating on the stage?
Yes. The town clerk, myself, the health agent, and the principal visited about that last week. We can fit 150 people in the auditorium, in the seats, and then the finance committee will be on the ground level at tables, and the Board of Selectmen will be separated on tables on the stage. We'll have the cafeteria for overflow traffic, and there'll be a live feed into the cafeteria with the assistant moderator in the cafeteria to provide assistance there. We'll have ushers that help people seat. We will actually be the 4th town to use the auditorium by the time we get there on the 29th. And the 3 other towns have already worked out the same items, and the principal has worked out how many seats separate people and families. So those plans have already been kind of fleshed out for the auditorium and the cafeteria.
Good, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Mary?
Who's in charge of cleaning the facility after each town meeting?
The
Of
board,
the other towns?
the school committee.
Have
The schools are cleaning.
they hired? Right, I mean, they have a protocol in place that's gonna hire somebody to do a thorough cleaning?
I don't know that they're hiring anybody, but they have custodial staff that can do the cleaning.
Okay, as long as we double check that, because I don't think they clean after every town meeting as a rule, absent the pandemic, so.
I will check to make sure that the building is cleaned in between.
And I know it's all in place, but I just have to ask anyway, the more I read about things. Did we ever, I know a number of towns decided to hold their town meeting outdoors on their football fields because it's shown that the transmission of the virus is much reduced outdoors. That's why outdoor activities opened up first and outdoor restaurants. And did we ever entertain that instead of being in close quarters with each other for 4 hours?
We looked at using the gymnasium, not the field.
Yeah. I know it's pretty much a done deal now, but I think the town opted to go outside, got it the best in terms of safety.
Until they get bit by the mosquitoes.
No, they're doing it during the day. They're not doing it with the lights on during dusk.
No. Have you been up there at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon? The mosquitoes are horrendous everywhere this year.
Well,
There's no ideal.
as long as look
No
into the
ideal. But I think that, they've worked hard and come up with a good plan. And any kinks would be worked out if the other towns have any problems.
well, time's going to tell, unfortunately, right?
True. That's true. Now, Priscilla, did you make a motion to
I did.
approve?
I just said so moved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and who seconded it?
Mike, I think Mike did.
Okay, Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mary. What are we voting on right now?
The reopening plan.
No. You're voting on my ability to hire gatekeepers to work the elections and town meeting.
Oh, right. The payment, right, for the gatekeepers.
Yes,
Right.
we voted on the plan already.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, it's the gatekeepers, yeah.
Okay, Mary asked me yes. Yeah.
Okay, and I vote yes.
Okay. I have one more COVID item. Okay.
Sure.
So last Friday, the governor announced we're entering phase 2 and there's going to be restaurants that can open and all these other things. So the guidance has come out on the use of outdoor seating for restaurants and under what conditions those can take place. And town staff have been developing certain guidelines for the past week or so, an expectation of allowing restaurants to have outdoor seating, whether it be under a tent or tables or whatever it is. And of course, the parking has to be accommodated and so forth and so on. So those are pretty easy to develop. So the question is the serving of alcohol in outdoor seating. So this afternoon, the governor put out an executive order that said local licensing authorities, which is you all, can adjust the premises description to allow a restaurant or location that is already authorized to serve alcohol inside the building to a designated area outside the building without going back to the Alcohol Beverage Control Board for approval. So you can provide that modification without ABCC control. So we would expect over the next week or so to see numerous applications of our restaurateurs to come in to change the description of the premises to allow for the serving of alcohol outdoors under those controlled circumstances and ask you to approve those changes. So I don't have any in front of me this evening, but I just wanted you to know that will be an expectation, that the expectation not that you'll approve it, but we expect to get those applications based upon the authorization for people that have outdoor seating at their restaurants. And that's all I have.
Any questions? Mike, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just would like at some point before the next meeting, if the staff recommendations on how to control the area, could be given to us so that we can kind of think about, does this area where they're serving alcohol, does there have to be a fence around it, or gated, or whatever? I'd like to hear staff recommendations before we take any action on outdoor seating that's serving alcohol.
Right, understood.
Mary?
Obviously, total sense, but and we're going to have to look at each applicant on its own because every building has its own unique layout. But it helps for businesses to know personally, I'm in favor of making accommodations to allow restaurants to serve alcohol outside under these circumstances. In other states, they've opened up outside dining, and Rhode Island, because we've already been in New Hampshire, and it's working for them. So I think I would be in favor of exercising the right that Governor Baker gave us. Obviously, look at each application, but as a concept.
Okay, anyone else? I mean, it certainly saves time because normally we have to have a public hearing for extension of premises. Then it's the ABCC. And it's almost like a 6-week, if not longer, process. So this will certainly expedite things.
Right, the governor left it up to you.
Okay, sounds good.
All right,
What's new?
Okay.
that's all I have.
Okay, any other old business? Mary?
I did. I can't think. So it mustn't have been as important as I thought. I'll next time. Can't think.
Okay. Mike?
Well, I think we received a copy of the tourism plan that we've been working on for the last year or so, and I've been reading through it, and it's pretty comprehensive, and it does address some of the things we just discussed. Getting our tourist industry back going with this COVID-19 thing. I think by adding that into the study, it was really a good plan, and so I think I just wanted to comment on that under old business because it's something that we should take a look at for our next meeting on how we're going to reopen all of our businesses and get them going again.
Hey, Priscilla, any old business?
I
I do, but Jeff has his hand up first. You want to take him first?
Just a comment.
Yeah.
Mike, thank you for bringing that up. Brian Amity of the Stores Tourist Association and Todd Miller will come to you either the second meeting in June or the first meeting in July to review that plan with you. That was one of the expectations, is they would come back along with the consultant who drew up the plan to actually formally present it to you and give you an overview of the plan itself. So,
Priscilla?
I do. This, I guess, goes to Andrea, I think. I got a couple of messages from town employees that had emailed me, and it got kicked back. And I've had problems with that before, and I don't know why. Andrea?
I'm not sure why that's happening.
Okay.
I would ask them to make sure that the G is in your email address.
Okay. And the other thing, the only other thing, it's kind of old, new, whatever. We've had sound issues before, but I found tonight very difficult at times. People were bleeded out. And it was kind of, the sound wasn't as good as it's been. At least not on my end, let me say that. I don't know how anybody else's was. That's it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hey, Priscilla, I don't think it's just this meeting. I listened to some of the other meetings, and it all depends, too, on whether people are on their phones or...
Yeah, it was tougher tonight. Yeah, it was tougher tonight. I know, it's hard. This is hard. Yeah.
Yeah. I know, it'd be nice to get back to normal.
I know.
Chase, any old business, Chase?
I have no old, thank you.
No, I have no old. New, Mary?
Well, I thought it was old, but it's a little bit of new, so I'm going to squeeze it in right now. I keep going back to the amount of money that is available to the town of Sturbridge, the $850,000, and as Jeff pointed out, we're not going to come anywhere near that for COVID relief given our size. But I know some other new towns or municipalities are putting together, and I think this goes along with what Priscilla was getting at, little kits to residents, to those in need, which has a mask, some hand sanitizer, and different things. And I'm thinking that if we kind of brainstormed, maybe had a volunteer, a short-term committee that would be in charge of assembling them, we could give them out at town hall to those who need it and use some of that $850,000 towards it. It's something to think about. But I feel like with all that available to us, we could be doing something to give back to the residents, mask, sanitizer, a kit, maybe back to school kit to kind of alleviate what parents have to get together, especially, it's going to be federally funded and it is COVID relief related. So something to think, to brainstorm. I don't want to put anybody on the spot now, but maybe we could, and I would be willing to be a committee, but we could get volunteers because the senior center is doing a great job. But I don't think we should only rely on the senior center distributing those kind of products. So that was my old flash.
Mike, new?
Well, Mary brought up something about the federal money that's available to the town for versus, and I think there has to be an estimate or something due June 5th, or it's very soon. So I'm just questioning: have we gotten our estimates together to get into? I'm asking the town administrator who's raising his hand. So
yeah, Jeff.
Yes, the $850,000+ is available to us through this fiscal year and next fiscal year. They're recommending that those towns that have a cash flow issue or expecting a cash flow issue to go ahead and apply by June 5th. We are not in that situation, so we're going to continue to accumulate our expenses and then apply for FEMA first and then go into the COVID funds. Because there's still an expectation, or there's still a hope, that these COVID funds can be used for revenue support at the federal level. So we're still going through a process. We have accumulated our expenses, but we don't anticipate applying on the June 5th application date for reimbursement. We'll probably get the next one after that.
Hey, Priscilla, any old?
No, no,
Any new?
no new, no new.
Hey, new?
No new. Thank you.
Okay, I have old, new. Jeff, what was the extension we gave Mrs. Belanger on responding to the letter? Was that June 5th?
Yeah, the end of this week.
Okay, so then we'll have another week before another meeting.
If I get something, I'll let you know.
Okay. Yes, okay. Okay, correspondence, Mike?
Yeah, first letter I have here is from, regarding a issue at 27 Ladd Road from, that we received from Brent and Ann Selwell. And it's regarding an issue on 61B. I guess the assessors must be taking that up. Yeah, here, and then we received another letter from the assessor responding to this 61, the chapter issue with that particular property at 27 Ladd Road. We also received correspondence from the Conservation Commission about that issue, and also another letter dated March 3rd. That was going back all the way into September, that we got the letter for September 28th, 2019. The letter was written from the Conservation Commission. March 3rd letter from the assessors to the Selwells, again addressing the issue, and we've got all the backup information from the land classification here. Let's see, and I think we also, and that's it that was in our packet, but if you hold on a second, I think we got some other correspondence that came in on Friday that I saved on my, somewhere. Where is it? I know there were 3 pieces of correspondence that came in last Friday that Andrea sent us, and usually I have it right here. No, that's not it. I can't find the other 3 pieces of correspondence right now.
I can send it to your email right now if that would help.
No, I'm looking at it. What day did you send it? Thursday or? Oh, here it is, right here, Friday. Okay. I had it up on a PDF and it disappeared on me. The first one is the proposed zoning amendment for Chapter 40A, Section 5. And that hearing is going to be at Veterans Memorial Hall on in the Town Hall, 308 Main Street, on Tuesday, June 9th at 7:05 p.m. And that's the petition for zoning map change for porch light investments for the property at 7 Cedar Street. So that's the notification we received for that hearing. On May 15th, we received a letter from Charter Communications for more upcoming changes to the TV lineup, channels 165 and 817, Spectrum Lifestyle TV Essentials will be added to that lineup. And we received another letter from Charter on May 27th that sent us a check for $100,000 for the PEG Access Capital Grant pursuant to Section 13.4 of the licensing agreement with Charter. And those are the three pieces of correspondence that we received last Friday. So I'm trying to get out of that and get back onto our site, wherever that is.
Jeff, did you want to address the letters concerning Glad Road?
Yes, the assessor, Ann Murphy, is still on the phone if you have questions about that. I think Ann is still here with us.
Yes, I am.
Yep. So if you have questions on that, or she can give you kind of a 30-second rundown of the issue. Let me turn up her volume. Go ahead, Ann.
Okay. The memo that I sent you was basically in response to the letter that you received from Mrs. Salou. She entered, this is going back to give you some history. She purchased the property back in December of 2013, and the property, when she purchased it, was in Chapter 61A, which is the Agricultural Horticultural Program. There were notes from the assessor at that time that she stated she was going to keep it in Chapter 61A. I personally do an affidavit with people when they're buying chapter land and they're going to keep it in there, and then I file the affidavit with the lien so that we have everything on record. I don't know if he overlooked it or if it was just not their practice at the time. But anyways, so that was in December of 2013. When she filed her application for October 1st of 2014, she brought it in and she didn't have income information. For 61A, you have to show income. I explained that to her. She said she was just using the land for grazing her horses, so I explained that 61B is more what she was in line with instead of 61A. So she switched at that time, no problems, and filed the application every year since. Rebecca Gendro from Conservation contacted me back on March 3rd of this year, asking me questions about this particular parcel and chapter land and what the rules were. That's when I first became aware that Mrs. Salou had leased the property. She mentioned in her letter that she felt that the board knew she was leasing the property. However, I included in this packet a blank application to show you on the back. Every year when they file this application, there is a spot right on the back that says if you're leasing this property, you have to have the person you're leasing to sign off on the application. She never had that filled out, so we were not aware that she was leasing the property. When I became aware of that, I contacted DOR. Well, first I contacted Mrs. Salou to find out what she was doing with the property. When I found out it was a commercial use of the property, I contacted Department of Revenue and spoke with Attorney Jim Crowley. He basically confirmed my question whether or not it qualified for chapter land anymore, which it did not. I informed Mrs. Salou then that she had to notify the Board of Selectmen because of the change in use. Even though she's not selling the property, it was a change in use, so that triggers the right of first refusal by the Board of Selectmen, and it also triggers the rollback taxes from the assessor's office. She asked me what those taxes would be, so I did calculate it out. I haven't issued the rollback tax yet because we're waiting for the Board of Selectmen to do the right of first refusal, but I calculated it for her so that she would know what it was, which is just over $6,000. That's basically where she is at this point. Her issue with the value, we are giving a discount and have been giving a discount on the wetland portion of her land, in addition to what she was getting the discount for the chapter land. If she had a issue with the value, if she didn't feel the value was correct, she had a time each year to contest the value, which she did not do. So once that period of abatement passes each year, that value's set. You can't change it. So that's where we're at this point. And if you have any questions on it, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, any questions? Hey, Ian, what's the next step then?
Right.
So the next step is for the Board of Selectmen to act on the right of first refusal. Is this a property that you think the town would want to purchase or not? If you do not want to purchase it, then you would just sign off on your right of first refusal that the town is passing on their option. And then once you do that, then I will issue them the rollback payment. And then they would have to pay the town back the rollback amount.
Don't they have to notify us in writing, though? Of our right
I believe that's what her letter kind of did. She said in her letter that it is my understanding now that we have made a change in use, and therefore the Board of Selectmen is supposed to act upon a right of first refusal. We are asking for that to be done. That's what she stated in her letter. Whether the board wants something a little more formal, that's entirely up to the Board of Selectmen.
I personally would like a clean statement, not, contained in anything else. Just, a clear statement offering it. And we do send it to other boards in town to see if they have any interest in it before we make a decision.
Yes, that has been the practice in the past. Mm-hmm. So I guess Mr. and Mrs. Salou would have to be notified that they need to make a formal request for the right of first refusal, I guess.
Right. Jeff, you want to do that?
We'll take care of that. Yep.
Okay.
And just on a side note, their home is on this property.
Okay, thank you, Ann.
Thank you, Ann.
Okay. You're welcome.
Okay. Minutes. Or did I skip?
Nope, your minutes are good.
Nope, minutes. I have my chair new. It's kind of dark. Okay. So we have the minutes of May 18th. Anyone have any corrections, deletions? Mary?
I just have one, Andrea. Old business at the very end, bottom of page 230. Vice Chair Dowling mentioned she would like to change the number in the tax relief. Could you change the verb change to increase? And at the end of the sentence, add the following phrase: as the data supports that it still honors the town's fiscal policy. So after the word, right, as the data still supports that it honors the town's fiscal policy.
So what fiscal policy? You cut out.
Fiscal policy.
The town's fiscal policy.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, anyone else? Mike?
This is Mike, and near the bottom of page 229, where there was a motion made by Selectwoman Gimmis to accept the petition for a zone change, the reference to Massachusetts general laws should be Chapter 40A, Section 5, not Chapter 404. The 4 should be an A.
Okay.
Chapter 40A, Section 5. That's it for me. Really good. Good job.
Okay, anyone else? I just have, Andrea, a few capitals. On page 227.
I don't have to tell me what their subject is.
Okay, it's at the top of page 227. It's at the end of public service announcements. top line, it's the second line, able to mail in ballots. Ballots is OT. Okay. On page 228. The top paragraph, just before the motion is made.
Can you tell me what action item?
Council on Aging.
Okay.
The last sentence, well, it's not really a sentence, it just says, the board discussed. We don't really need that in. It was just talking about allowing the seniors to use the commons. So the motion covers that. Okay, and then on page 229, under exception of donation,
personal protective equipment?
Yes. Okay, where it says accept the petitions. Oh, no, this is the zoning map.
Okay.
Accept the petition for change in the zoning. My comment on that, Chair Blanchard informed the board that this is similar to the petition that came forward last year. I think the major point was that it's similar but smaller land area. So people don't get confused. Okay, and then I can find it. Oh, on page 230 under COVID update. 234. The sixth line, right in the middle, the word CERT should be capitalized.
Actually, comment?
Yes?
Yeah, the whole thing should be capitalized. It's Citizens Emergency Response Team. So.
And then the last one, I just lost it again. Oh, under correspondence, in the motion, third line down, it says on Shampoo Road, you left off the M, it's CHAMPEAUX.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have, and no one else has anything else? Okay, is there a motion to approve as amended?
So moved, Priscilla.
Second, Mike?
Hey, Chase, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mary, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes.
And I vote yes.
Oh, did I skip you, Priscilla?
I vote yes.
Okay, next is Citizens Forum.
Let me see if someone's on the
Have
phone.
anybody on the phone, Jeff?
Hello, is
Wait,
anyone
what's
on the
tonight?
phone?
Is there still time for early voting, Mary?
That I'm not too sure of. It does take a while to get, if you call Lynn maybe in the morning and requested she could mail out one, and then
Yeah, I
people could
already
drop
did, but-
petition. There's only a week, but the ballot has to be in the day of voting, no later than that. I know there wasn't really a time limit explained, but, okay, no one on the phone?
No, no one's on the call.
Yeah.
Okay,
When the word for ballot came up ballet, I just started laughing inside because how am I going to mail in my ballet?
Wearing your tutu.
I found it kind of funny anyhow. It was cute.
I know. Hey, Priscilla,
Motion to adjourn.
is there a second?
Second.
That was Chase. Mary, how do you vote?
Mary, yes.
Priscilla,
Yes.
Mike,
Not so sad. Yes.
Chase,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Good meeting, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Barbara, thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Phone
Stay
down.
safe. Thanks, Barbara.